And we're live. All right.
So did you figure out where you were sitting?
I'm going to sit here.
Okay.
So we can either sit and chit chat face to face, or we can sit and chit chat towards the camera, to the beautiful people out there, those wonderful people out there.
Definitely the people. I don't want to stare at your ugly face.
So I am Alec Johnson.
I'm Benjamin Nava.
You are the connoisseur, creator of Ghostly Native on Twitch, which will be in the link description below thing. If you look underneath this video, there's going to be like a blue bar, and if you click on that, it's going to take you straight to his thing that he does.
Speaking of that, like, I like doing this. Like, I love Twitch. I love being able to talk to people. Love being able to chat with everybody.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm like. My main focus is like. I don't claim to be the greatest at video games, but at the same time, it's one of those. I love to be able to make people laugh and see
interact with them.
Yeah.
And I've actually been there when you've linked it up through Facebook, and you've done.
Yes, I've also done tried to doing the Facebook gaming.
And I've asked questions through there, and
right.
And I actually enjoyed watching you and your friends playing.
Oh yes.
I don't know the names of your friends, but I watch you.
Yes.
And me and Ben have been friends for many, many years, and we are both metalheads.
Yes. Rock on.
So let's take things back a little bit. So I know when I was young, the albums and who introduced me to them. What is the albums that made you become a metalhead, and who introduced you to that genre of music?
So, I mean, it all depends, because my mom and dad, they were metalheads. They still are.
We actually all went to Judas Priest.
Yes, we all went to Judas Priest. And if you get a chance to go see Judas Priest, do it. That's all I can say.
Do it.
Same with Queensryche. Queensryche was there.
Oh, amazing band.
I had never really heard of anything from Queensryche, but they produced, and if they were ever to come back, I'd definitely go.
Yeah.
But to your question about what got me into metal, like I said, my mom and dad are metalheads. Apparently, my first concert ever was going to a Metallica concert when my mom was pregnant with me. So, but as far as albums, like, I got introduced when I was younger. Like, my dad, we would, our cousin would be over. My cousin's a big metal fan too, and they had their own band and everything, so it was constant metal throughout the entire time. Yeah. But what got me hooked was I had gotten a Walkman, and I had gotten a Red Hot Chili Peppers, and it was one of those things where it was like, I loved the feel of it, loved listening to it, but it wasn't like the big all-time like, hey, this is what I'm going to continue listening to. Mm-hmm. And then shortly after that, my dad got me the Ride the Lightning cassette. And at that moment in time, I was like, this is Metallica, like Metallica for life. Ride the Lightning is like by far the best go-to album for me.
It's one of those albums, when you first hear it, you never forget that you first heard it.
Yes.
You keep going back to it. You put it back on.
Oh,
you still get that. You still get that same goosebump.
Yes.
Where you're like, oh, this album's so good.
Definitely.
For me, I was a child of the 70s, and growing up through the 80s, my parents. My mum was a huge fan of Eurythmics. Excuse me. But my dad was big into Genesis, Queen.
Oh yes, definitely.
And then my uncle Jim, he was into like Black Sabbath. My mum was into like bands like Cream and ELO.
Right.
And then around about the same time, my brother went into the army. And at the same time, I was going through high school. And a friend of mine, Richard Clooney, he was into Metallica. He was into Pantera. And he was into Dream Theater, which is ironic. And my older brother came home on leave one time, and he had Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, and I think Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 was coming out, but he had the Black Album, he had one of the Soundgarden albums, and he had, I believe it was Nirvana, Bleach.
Okay.
It was before Nevermind came out.
Right.
Because he was based in Germany, and then there was a lot of American troops on the base, so he would hear a lot of the American bands. Then he came home and he would let me listen to his cassette tapes.
Okay.
Because he had a Walkman.
Yeah.
But he had the earliest stage of like the speakers that you could plug in to the headphone jack. So I would listen to, and I must have looked so dumb. I would listen to Metallica's Black Album. Instead of headphones, I would just pull the speakers, the Walkman speakers, and just hold them to my ears.
I never thought of that. Like, that's one of those things where like, I want to try that now.
It was so loud. And at the same time, my papa, my mum's dad, he had like Dremels and stuff like that, and my brother gave me a set of dog tags, just blank dog tags. And I remember sitting, dremeling the names. I did the Metallica logo, like a really shitty Metallica logo, where it's not like lined up or anything.
Right.
And I put in the names of the band members, which to my knowledge were correct. But instead of Kirk, I put Kurt. And I would walk around school, in high school, and I had this set of dog tags, and it was like Metallica, James, Lars, Jason, Kurt. Because I didn't know his name was Kirk.
Right.
So I dremeled like Kurt.
Like you say about the dog tags, like when I was like, even at a young age, I used to love to draw, and even to this day, I love to draw.
Mm-hmm.
But I got into doing like artwork on bottom of skateboards.
Yeah.
And so I pretty much kind of did the same thing, but instead of using like a Dremel, like I like painted on the bottom of the skateboard.
It's that old school like DIY method, like the punks used to do it.
Yes.
And the skateboard.
Yeah, I did the whole Metallica logo, and then on top of that, like, because then I was even more, like, got more into the metal scene, because then I even did like the whole Pantera, I did Slayer, so I had this whole bottom of the skateboard filled with metal bands, like, it's my favorite thing ever, just doing that.
Because when I was growing up in high school, it was during the grunge era.
Right.
And there was that split of like the metal people and the grunge people. And the metal people, it was coming out of the hair band, like Motley Crue, Poison, and there's nothing wrong with those bands. They're all fantastic. But it was the harder edged Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, Sepultura. They were Anthrax. They were all becoming like, this is what metal is. And grunge was like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Mudhoney, Mother Love Bone. Like there was the Seattle movement was one thing, and then there was the metal movement, and everyone was moving away from the LA hair metal, Motley Crue, and there's nothing wrong with those bands at all. You can go back and listen to every single one of the albums. Extreme, another band that gets absolutely shit on. Fantastic musicians. Go back, just listen to these bands. It was just a shift in society. It's like going back to the 60s with Woodstock and Beatlemania and Elvis Presley. It doesn't mean that the music that came before them sucks. It was a change in society, and the youth latched onto something. And metal, because at the same time we were coming out of like for example, in the 60s and 70s, coming out of the Vietnam War and Woodstock, along came Black Sabbath, along came Led Zeppelin, along came Aerosmith, and then right after them came Iron Maiden. Like all these bands but they sang about stuff that was really meaningful. And there came a point where I want to say the mid-90s, there was a big transitional shift, and it was like dance music, rap music, in America country music like Garth Brooks and things like that. A lot of that stuff like Celine Dion and but metal music, it kind of dipped, and then it started coming back up, and then you've got things like Limp Bizkit, Korn, like a deeper sound.
See, and that's what trips me out, because I was born early 90s. So I didn't get the whole experience of like back when like Metallica and everybody was big, like,
and even before then,
just
like
starting
Queen
and everything. Yeah, Queen and all of that. I didn't get that chance to like start from the beginning. But at the same time, I heard every bit of their music from the beginning, because that's what my parents would listen to.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, like when I got into high school, it was big into the rap, and it was one of those things where.
And again, there's nothing wrong with that. Like when, here's a very funny story. So when I was in my second last to last year of high school, yes, I was into Alice in Chains, I was into Guns N' Roses, I was into Metallica, Anthrax. I was also into Ice Cube, Ice-T, Body Count, Public Enemy. But, and anyone watching, don't take this the wrong way, but for me as a young Scottish European white guy, I could love the music, and I could love the beats, and I could love the anger, but I had no idea about what being angry in South Central Los Angeles felt like.
Right.
Because I did not live there. I didn't live on the same.
Right.
I didn't live in the same country.
Right.
But I could understand the anger, and there's a thing about respecting the anger and respecting why these musicians did what they did. And I think a lot of that is gone.
Yeah. See, and that's one of the things is like the older rap, it actually had meaning to everything. And it had meaning to everything, where like what they were going through in life.
Yeah.
And then today's rap, I don't know what it is.
And it's like I was saying earlier, I'm not against rap, I'm not against country music. There has to be an emotion behind it, and these young men and women in the 80s, in the rap field especially, they were angry.
Yes.
And they were really, I mean, a lot of them died. And they were singing about their friends, and they were rapping about their friends, and But then in the metal world, they were pissed off about, you know, that lower class
Yeah.
kind of system of life, and I don't want to work a dead end job, and sick and tired of this, and I'm sick and tired of that, and same with the punk music. Pretty much all music, even country music, comes from the same background,
Right.
which is people are either angry, upset, pissed off, or heartfelt hurt.
Yes.
Because
That seems to be a lot of the country, though.
But it's also rap music.
Yeah,
It's also it's how it's conveyed.
Yeah.
In metal music, a lot of it's anger.
Yes.
In rap music, a lot of it's anger and spite. In country music, it's a lot of
Sadness.
sadness. But it all comes from the same thing, which is emotions. And
Right.
it's just conveyed differently. And I like exploring new avenues of music. But I'm still a metalhead at heart, and I love soundtrack music, but I love world music
Yes.
and experiencing new music through different cultures that I didn't grow up in.
So, which brings me to like, you're like with you being Scottish, I'm Native American, so we all have like we kind of have the same scenarios of what happened to our people and everything.
Mhm.
With music, like you're saying, it all has the feelings and it's all based on that.
Yeah.
And the stories that are being told, the same thing is with like the native people. Like there's native rap, there's Native American artists doing metal, there's Native American artists doing country, and they're all doing the same thing, like what's going on around us, what happened to our people.
Conveying.
Yes, just
Who they
sending
are.
out the message. And
Yeah. Because like even in Scotland, there's Scottish folk music, there's Scottish rock music, there's Scottish bagpipe music, there's Scottish metal music, there's you can't define one nation of people by one genre of music.
No.
There's Scottish rappers, which sounds ridiculous. Like when you hear it, it's ridiculous.
I mean, I wouldn't say it sounds ridiculous. I haven't heard any of it,
But it does sound. It's like when you hear, say, a French rapper, or
I've never heard a French rapper.
a German rap. Every country has their own rappers. So when you hear rap in a different language, it's the same as when I try and figure out how Rammstein, for example, a German band, sings a song in German and gets it to rhyme.
Oh, that's
So
difficult.
So hearing another
Right.
culture's language, there's Polish rappers, there's Ukrainian rappers, there's Russian rappers. Hearing people in different languages making the music work
Right.
and getting the language to work with it,
And you see, like I said,
to
you
me
see-
that's a bigger talent.
Yes, and you see a lot of that with like the Native American rappers. Like you hear our own languages in these.
But how to get it to go,
Like-
how to get it to line up? Like how does that work?
Yeah, it's kind of confusing, but at the same time, it's one of those things where if you like know the language,
Yeah.
you understand everything, and with English, like rap in English, it's almost throughout the world. Everybody knows some form of English.
For the most part, yeah.
But
when you hear people speaking their native tongue and then rap in it,
yes, that
if you don't speak in that language, it doesn't make sense how the things line up
Right.
linguistically to rap.
correct.
But it's the same with a metal song, a country song. Like I don't know how Rammstein can get their stuff to rhythmically rhyme linguistically in a different language because the words sound different.
I don't know.
And to me, that is amazing. Like the Norwegians, the Finns, the
Yeah.
Swedes,
Oh,
their language is so different. And I love listening to it. Because it's so powerful.
Like, just the music itself, like, a lot of it, like, isn't even, like, the vocalist. Sometimes it's just the music, like...
There's a primitive...
Yes.
Just underlying, like, power to it.
Yes.
And I think metal... It was the guitars initially that drew me in. It was the angry delivery of the vocals. Because I grew up in the UK. And I can remember being... I was born in 1977. But I can remember being in London with my mum and dad and my older brother. I was in a pram, a stroller, around about 1981, and I saw the original punks walking around with like the purple mohawks and the safety pins through their face, like through the nose, through the cheek. And my mum always said, like, you would just look at them like mesmerized. And to this day I'm still mesmerized.
Right.
Because it stood out. It was non-conformist. It was it was the first time I saw a culture of its own. Because punk was a culture of its own.
Yes.
It was a DIY culture. They pretty much put their own clothes together.
Oh yeah.
They tattooed themselves. It was like seeing the rebirth of a primitive culture.
It would be like in the same thing as going to the Native American reservations. It's all like everybody does everything themselves. Like you still have where you can go to your friends and do the tattoos
But with punk, none of it was based on tradition. It wasn't based on blues music, jazz music. It wasn't based on heavy rock, hard rock, classical music. It was rebellion.
Yeah.
And I can't think of anything that's came along since original punk from the late 70s into the early 80s. I can't actually think of anything that really changed my compass. Where I turned my head, and I was only like 4.
Right.
But like metal music changed my world. But there's not really been anything in metal that's came along where my compass went, let me look at that.
Right.
Like no country musicians came along, no rappers came along, no classical musicians came along. Like, I saw punk musicians.
Yes.
And we're taking a giant leap here from being 4 years old to say 91, 92, so I'd be 14-ish. So a 10-year gap.
Yeah.
Where I wasn't listening to music. I was playing with toys, He-Man, Transformers. But punk made me look like, wow, you can rebel. And metal music was the thing that made me feel like, oh, you can actually rebel with power.
Yes.
And have a sound. Because I hate to break it to you, a lot of the bands, the punk bands from the 70s and even in the 80s, you can name lists like 5 or 6 who were great. The rest of them, musically, terrible. And if you're angry about that, that's okay. But like, I love the Misfits, I love the Ramones, I love Black Flag.
Yeah.
I love the Damned. But there's musically gifted. A lot of those bands aren't around anymore. Like, and not the ones I listed, but a lot of the ones from that era, they weren't great. Sex Pistols. It's gonna piss a lot of people off. I think they suck. and I think they suck on a musical side. There was attitude, but musically they were not that good. And then there's another band I'll bring up in a minute, but that's for another time.
Oh, it's for another time, huh?
Yeah, it's about 20-something years forward.
Oh, okay.
Nirvana.
That's...
I did not enjoy Nirvana. I tried. I didn't get it. Alice in Chains were better. Soundgarden was better. Pearl Jam was better.
So,
and it's not knocking Nirvana and their contribution to the world, but better musicians were in better bands.
right.
With better vocalists. But this is about metal, so.
Exactly.
I don't apologise for going down a tangent there. Music tends to make you do that.
I don't know if it's just music or if it's just your Scottish ways.
Oh. Well, do you have any insights or questions, like avenues you'd like me to go down, or because when we first met each other, it became apparent within about the first week we were both metalheads,
Yes.
and we have had many an occasion of listening to music and sharing laughter, meals,
Yes.
being there for each other. But right, I'll ask you one.
Okay.
What is the one musical thing about me that surprised you?
I would have to say with your vocals. Like, I knew you to be like a metalhead and everything, but I didn't know, like, the more I got to know you, you showed that you were in a band when you were younger.
Mm-hmm.
And you were the vocalist, and then as I got to know you more, it's like more of that came out to, like, you told me everything, and that just threw me off, like, oh my gosh, this guy used to be in a metal band.
But I didn't do metal. Well, I used to be in a metal band, but I could vocalize things, and I
Right.
could sing, and I could do notes, and I could drop down into like death metal vocals and
Oh yeah.
go up into like the high range and
See, I couldn't do that.
just mess around vocally
I can't do that. Like
like a vocal.
I can't. My voice is too deep for me to be able to like do that, like the high and the.
But, and like I said before, we worked together. But while we were working, I would sing things.
Yes. Oh my god.
And I would start doing it in different accents.
Yes.
Like Leprechaunica is.
Yeah, Leprechaunica was.
That's an in-joke between me and him. And it was me singing Metallica songs, but doing it in an Irish accent. Now, if you think singing is hard, sing in a different accent.
And keep that accent the entire time.
And sing multiple different songs at different speeds, different key changes, different tempos. That shows you what a vocalist can
I
do.
still think Leprechaunica would have been a big hit.
Oh, it would be great.
But being able to find others to do that style would...
Trying to get others to play along to that and get them to actually play it while not laughing.
I couldn't do it. Like I laughed the entire time you would actually sing, and it was just one of those things where it's like one of my favorite songs, like and you were singing, but it's one of those like
Doing
like
it
you
as
hear
an
your favorite
angry
metal song.
leprechaun.
You hear your favorite metal song, and you're just like it feels amazing, and it's like just listening to it, and. So after a little mishap.
It's alright. I'm crap at editing. So you'll see that. So we went to see Judas Priest with Queensryche
Yes.
opening for them. I've been to metal shows, God, going back in the mid-90s. But there's a feeling,
Yes.
there's an adrenaline, and it's not an angry adrenaline boost, it's just this good feeling to hear the sound, the volume, the energy of the performers, watching guitarists, drummers, bass players, singers. There's just something about that I relish, that I want to be. But there's also a release internally for your own stuff.
Right.
Do you want to talk about that kind of thing?
Oh, so yeah. Well, that brings me to like I've always had like kind of little mental health problems, but kickback, just listen to metal music and everything, and then it comes kind of mellows me out. But actually being at a show, like you said, we went to Judas Priest with Queensryche opening. That had been my very first metal show I'd ever been to. Like, I've been to all kinds of other concerts and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I've been to country artists, I've been to rap and hip hop and all of that, but I've never had that group of friends when I was growing up that strictly listened to like heavy metal. They were like I said, growing up in different times.
Yeah.
You never had that group of just metalheads. So like, which got me into listening to other music, but it's still, I was always a metalhead.
Yeah.
And actually being at a metal concert and just hearing everything, and just, it was just a thrill. Like, you ever been on, like, when you were younger, you ever been on like the roller coaster for the first time?
Yeah.
Just up and down, the
Yeah.
motion and everything.
Yeah.
Or even if you're in a car ride and you just go up and then downhill real quick.
Because
That just feeling.
well, the entire time I've known you, you've loved different forms of music, but the one big one that you absolutely love was metal.
Yes.
And I didn't know you'd never been to a metal show before. And I know it sounds strange, but we went to go and see Judas Priest, and my friend Alan was there. Great guy. Check out his bands. But we were absolutely just blown away by
Yes.
how good these bands were. And then
Amazing.
when Rob Halford brings out Glenn Tipton
Oh.
for the 4-song,
Yes, it was
Finale.
the last 4-song finale.
and he's dealing with Parkinson's,
Yes.
and he still plays Living
I
After
couldn't
Midnight,
imagine. Yeah.
Breaking the Law. It was like, oh my god.
See, and what threw me off is, like I had said, I had never been to a metal concert, and you had said that from the past you've seen some of the live stuff, what, on YouTube from Judas Priest or
Yeah,
or heard about
I'd never seen Judas Priest yet.
and you said that they ended
On Painkiller.
on Painkiller.
On the previous tour.
Yes, and
This was like COVID delayed. and then the guitarist suffered a ruptured aorta. It was like, oh, delayed again. It's like,
So we had already been waiting 2 years for this concert,
yes.
but you said they typically ended their performance on
the
on
tour.
Painkiller.
On the tour that we had not seen.
Okay. So
I'm going on the information provided.
so they came to play. They what I had thought was the ending, and they had played Painkiller, and like I didn't want to leave. Like it was just amazing.
And then Rob Halford rides a chrome Harley up onto the stage.
Well, the thing about it was after Painkiller, they had all left stage, didn't they? And,
yeah.
And then they come back, and it's like, oh my gosh, they're gonna play more. Like,
what
hell
are they
yeah.
gonna do? What are they gonna do?
I like just being to the metal shows. Like, it's one of those things where like, if you're a metalhead, like you need to go to shows.
Oh.
Like the live shows are just phenomenal.
How does it feel that your very first metal show had Rob Halford, Glenn Tipton? Like you actually, your first show was in. It was legendary.
Yeah, like
guys.
like
guys with 50+ year careers. That's
it's something else. Yeah, it's just something else. Like,
because hate to break it to you, Judas Priest has not got the #1 album or the #1 hit single right now, but they've got the 50+ year career tour concert. Wow, and it shows.
But the thing,
how
like,
good they are.
Like they may not have the #1 right now, but they are still.
They don't need it.
After 50+ years, they're still up there. Like, and they're still like, after 50+ years, they're still
they're
like
right,
like right with everybody else.
Now I'm gonna share a little story. It's a very funny story. I remember nudging him during the show, like the elbow nudge, and I was doing this, cupping my hands over my ears so he could hear. I was like, hey, do this. And it was when Rob Halford was singing. Oh my God.
He can hit some notes.
It was actually painful to my ears, and I've been at shows for like 20-something years, and I'm like, dude, this is a ridiculous level of wow.
And we weren't close to them either.
No, we were far.
But it just had to be the venue we were at, and like
I think it was Rob Halford. I think
definitely. It would definitely have to be Rob Halford.
But even the guitars, the drum, everything was just so powerful. You felt it, physically felt it, and even Queensryche.
Like I said, they just delivered.
Yeah, and they've got a 40+ year career as well.
Yeah, they do, and it's one of those things. Like I had said before, I had never really heard too much from Queensryche, and so I wasn't going into the concert expecting to hear like this amazing stuff, because it's one of those things where like you go somewhere and hearing somebody for the first time, you don't know what to expect. But when somebody delivers, like really delivers, Like,
You just sit back in awe. You're like, they were badass.
yes.
And I can now relate to when you see things like VH1 or MTV and people are like, yeah, I remember this, the first time I saw Guns N' Roses, or the first time I saw Metallica, or the first time I saw, and they name check a band. I can remember the first time I saw Judas Priest. Yes, it was 50 years into their career. I can remember seeing the first time I saw Queensryche, or Dream Theater, or Nightwish, or Gwar, or Sonata Arctica. Like, there's so many bands I could say, like, I remember the first time I saw them. Because it blew me the hell away. And it's why I continue to not only follow metal music, I continue to buy metal music. I buy vinyl records, CDs, the concerts, I go to the shows, I love buying the tour t-shirts. I remember coming out of the Judas Priest show, not particularly being a fan of the price of the shirts. And then we come out into the parking lot and there's a guy and he's got a whole bunch of shirts over his shoulder and he's selling them for under half the price they're selling them inside the venue, and they've sold out inside the venue. And I
was actually like going, like, after the show I wanted the
true story.
I wanted the tour shirt, and they'd run out of the tour shirts, like the tour dates and everywhere they went. So I ended up getting the Painkiller shirt, and I was kind of bummed about it because it was my first metal concert ever, and it's one of those things where, like, you go to a metal concert, you want to have your tour day shirts.
Yeah.
And so I was really bummed about it. I had gotten the Queensryche one, but I had also wanted the Judas Priest, and they were out, and I was bummed. And then walking out of the show, and like just being like almost sad, and then this guy just as soon as we walk out, he's right there selling them for half price. I was like, I want one, you know?
And I'm just like throwing money at this guy. I'm like, whatever his size is, one for him, okay, one for me.
But yeah, it's like I said,
there's a power to the music.
There is.
When you experience it live, it changes you.
And like I said, it had been my first metal concert, and I had been to country and rap. The rap concerts, it's one of those things where, like, you don't get all hyped. You're just more into like the vocals and everything. And then with the country music, because like I love all genres of music.
Yeah.
And the country music is like one of those things where like you hear some of the vocals, but you hear the music more and you want to dance.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you just want to move your feet. Whereas the metal, you hear
and you feel it.
Yes, you hear and you feel it.
There's a power to it.
Yes, definitely.
And I think the best way I can explain it, not only is there a power to it, but it's a personal power.
Yes.
Because you connect with not only the vocals, you don't have to agree with what the vocals are. You don't have to agree with what the song is about. There's a power to the music, the volume, and the foundation as it comes through the floor, and you feel it through your feet, and you feel it through your ears, and it just connects, like, through the ears, through the feet, like,
right.
And your body is just like, yeah. And it's not for everyone.
No. And it's one of those things where, like, if you've listened to a lot of metal, there are those songs where you connect with strictly the vocals.
Yes.
Like, mine is, like, some of the songs that are Metallica is one.
Yeah.
Where he's talking about everything and everything that the guy's been through, and then with Disposable Heroes as well.
Yeah.
Like, it all, because I come from a family with a military background.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where
it just touches on a...
Yes, it touches on a personal level, and...
because, like, one of the songs, I don't know why it hits me on a certain level, because I wasn't born in Egypt. Hate to break that to you. But Power Slave by Iron Maiden.
Oh, yeah.
It just tells such a good story in the song.
Yes.
And the music is perfect. The album is perfect. But that one song alone.
Mine from Iron Maiden is Run to the Hills. Like, you'd probably guess why, but...
Why? Tell me the story.
Well, being Native American.
I would sing it, but I'm not gonna. That would be 2022. But honestly, like, I love taking you to Piranha Records.
Yes.
One of our favorite record stores in Round Rock, Texas. Go check them out. I love giving you records.
Yes.
I love letting you hear, like, because I still have CDs from like 25 something years ago in my collection, and letting you hear them. And some of them, you can't find some of this music on Spotify or all these other music.
I still have cassettes the same age as me.
But I've got CDs where the band never made it.
Yeah.
And didn't get that Spotify deal or that Amazon streaming deal or all these things. But music is music, and it's never going to die. And powerful music is only powerful because of the people like yourselves,
Yes.
like him, like me, who feel something from it. And let's not let that die. Let's continue to encourage live music, powerful music. It doesn't have to be angry. It doesn't have to be sad. Just powerful music, the notes and the shared experiences that we all have. And buy merchandise, buy the bands doing it, share the links, buy the bands doing it, share videos of the bands doing it, because there's so many live performances I wish I had videos of that I've seen, and I don't, because I was caught in the moment, and that is the best moment to be caught in.
Definitely.
So your Twitch stream is
Ghostly_native at Twitch TV. If not, you can follow me on Facebook. It's Ghostly Native. There is no underscore between Ghostly or Native, so.
and all these little things will be in the thing underneath. Like, you know what you're doing. You're looking at the screen, underneath it, there's going to be a little description bar, there's going to be a whole bunch of links in there. Click on them.
And then on another note with that, like you said, and I've said too in this, I love all genres of music. My thing is, with my Twitch channel, it's all Native American based. Mm-hmm. And so I have those Native American artists that are doing like the country, they're doing the
Yeah.
rap, the hip hop, and then I have some that I play that do heavy metal. There's all genres of music are being played by Native American artists in my Twitch channel while I'm streaming, while I'm trying to chat with you guys, while I'm playing games. And it's one of those things where I like to be able to help out the Native people in that way, and to where we help and get known.
And that's why I'm doing this, because you're my best friend.
Yes.
And if my channel on YouTube can help bring views to his Twitch, go and do that. Otherwise, if not, we're going to drink beer, listen to metal,
Yep.
play games, have laughter, do stupid shit. That's how we roll.
And how should I word this? I know how YouTube goes. Like, share, subscribe.
Oh, that's the thing. Yes,
Yes.
I'm still learning. Only done it for like a decade.
It's a decade.
Yeah.
It's almost half the time I've been alive.
Yeah. Well.
Well, I don't know about that, but
But to everyone out there, much love, much peace, much metal,
rock on, baby.
and onward your path travels. See you later. Oh wait, hold on. I have to like walk up here and turn the thing off. Here we go. Right, getting there. Alright. Bye.